Captain Paul for the Locker Room here. If you haven't already, please make sure to subscribe and let's get into it. Atlanta has been rumored within the hockey community to maybe be a possible destination for the Arizona Coyotes if they do relocate. I don't know what's going to happen with that. They're currently playing in ASU, College Stadium, and while that's been entertaining in some aspects, it's still kind of embarrassing that a professional level team is playing in a college stadium. Let's just not get past that fact. It's a nice little homely feel, but it's not great for optics. But let's get into Atlanta. Atlanta's had two NHL teams. They've had the Atlanta Flames from 1972 to 1980, and they've also had the Atlanta Thrashers from 1999 to 2011. Both tried to work in Atlanta and just failed horrifically. Now, I am going to be making a far more in-depth video on the Atlanta Thrashers because there's a lot there. The Atlanta Thrashers didn't just fail because of lack of viewership, they also failed because of poor management. When Time Warner sold it to Atlanta Spirit LLC, there was nobody steady at the helm and there was just a lot of insecurity. So to be fair to the Atlanta fans, the Thrashers wasn't just because the fans didn't show up, it's because the ownership had no idea what they're doing. But to give a team a third shot at an NHL team, I think is kind of foolish. It's been proven time and time again, hockey just won't work at an NHL level for Atlanta. Now, they've had some good minor league teams like the Atlanta Gladiators that they have a ravenous fan base, but I think that's kind of maxing out the potential of hockey in Atlanta. Let's just speak the quiet part out loud. Atlanta does not support losers. The only team I see that is immune to that is the Atlanta Braves. They show up for their Braves games. But when the Atlanta Hawks were struggling, attendance was somewhat down. When the Atlanta Falcons had the terrible season they did, they ranked 30th out of 32 teams for percentage of tickets sold for attendance. And the NFL is one of the biggest sports in the United States of America. So if you can't sell NFL football in Atlanta when they are struggling, you cannot expect it to be any different for the NHL. If anything, they'll just struggle more. Now, we have seen teams come in and be successful down south or in more hotter climates. Like Vegas has come in and went against the notion that NHL teams couldn't work in a warmer climate. But let's be very fair here. The Vegas Golden Knights have been good since the beginning of their team. It is very hard to build a loyal fan base if your teams are not good. And I'll be very fair here when I say it. Out of the 8 years in existence for the Atlanta Flames, they made the playoffs 6 times. Now, they only won a couple games, but they were still quote-unquote a playoff team and they struggled for attendance. Now, the Thrashers only qualified for playoffs once in their entire franchise's career, and they got swept by the Rangers, so they have no wins on their playoff docket. It is very hard to build fan base when you are not a winner, and it's even harder when you're in such a fair weather market. I just don't think it's realistic. While we can sing the praises of certain franchises like the Tampa Bay Lightning, the Vegas Golden Knights, working extremely well down south. For every team that's successful, there's other teams that are not quite as much so. I mean, to use the Tampa Bay example, the Florida Panthers, who had a fantastic season last year, still struggle to get people in the stands. Arizona struggles to get people in the stands. I think the NHL has to look at it from this aspect. While growing the game and trying to get it to different states is a good idea, you also have to go into markets that are going to support your brand, because if not, it's just going to bring down the revenue all across the NHL. And for whatever reason, Bettman is tied to Arizona. He wants to make sure it can work in Arizona, but I think enough is enough at this point. If I'm being honest, I would move Arizona to Houston because Houston is a market that does support their teams. So I'll just wrap it up by saying this. Making another team in Atlanta would be a massive mistake. I think having minor league hockey there is perfect. You have a decent amount of hockey fans within that community that can support a minor league hockey team. But that'd be like my own home state, Rhode Island, deciding to go for an NHL team. We just wouldn't have the means to support it or the fan base. And plus, we already have a team locally. Just play into the niche that minor league hockey's there so you can see the future NHL stars of tomorrow play in your minor league system. It's happened twice now that you've had teams in Atlanta, and whether there's a lot of outside issues or not, the attendance isn't there, the viewership isn't there. Let's just call it a day. First time, shame on you. Second time, shame on me. Third time, I'm a goddamn fool. I'm Captain Paul. I'd be interested to know what your thoughts are down below. Do you think Atlanta should get another shot, or do you agree with me? It's that, third time is not necessarily the charm. I'll see you in the next video. And if you are still listening to this video, I forgot, let me plug something really quick. I have a reaction channel with my co-host Fajardo. If you enjoy reaction channels, listening to music, watching comedy, stuff of that ilk, I will have it down below in the description. Make sure to check us out. See you in the next one.